Well, folks, it is official as a whistle. AEW has finally announced that it has signed a brand new deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. This has been much speculated about over the last couple weeks, months, even the last couple years. A lot of naysayers out there thinking AEW has zero chance of getting a new TV deal. LOL, why would Warner Brothers want to renew AEW after their ratings are declining? Well, lo and behold, much like Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer and other people have been saying for a while now, including myself, by the way. I've, go back and watch old videos. I have a track record of saying that AEW will get their TV deal, and that's exactly what they have. From Variety, we have over here AEW to stream on Max following new multi-year rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. All Elite Wrestling has officially signed a new multi-year multimedia rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. Financial terms of the deal were not disclosed, but according to sources, the deal is valued at upwards of $150 million per year. Million dollars per year. This also, by the way, does not state the amount of years. It only says multi-year deal. We can talk about that more in a second here. Under the new deal, AEW shows Dynamite and Collision will remain on TBS and TNT respectively. Notice no Rampage there. But for the first time since its launch in 2019, AEW programming will stream live on Max simultaneously for U.S. subscribers and will be available to stream on demand starting in January 2025. A little word from the higher-ups at Warner Brothers Discovery. The deal also includes enhanced distribution rights across social media, as well as potential new AEW programming on linear and digital platforms. Furthermore, AEW live pay-per-views will be available on Max later in 2025 at a discounted price per event, with all marketing and promotion of those events exclusively centered on Max. And then we have a quote from Tony Khan and so on. So that is the meat and potatoes of this deal here. Again, there was nothing stated, at least at this time, on the amount of years that this is going to be for. Andrew Zarian and Sean Ross Sapp had reported that they had expected this to be about a 3-year deal with an option for a 4th. So not quite the 5-year deal that Tony Khan was hoping for, not quite the $200,000 per year that Tony Khan was hoping for, and not quite the streaming deal that Tony Khan was hoping for. However, according to those same sources, this $150 million per year is essentially double what they were making before. They were estimated around $75,000 per year. AEW, not a publicly traded company, so they are under zero obligation to report any of their financial information. They don't need to tell you what they're making. Warner Brothers Discovery is publicly traded, though, and they do have to disclose that stuff. So that's how this kind of thing can come out, and we will probably find out within the next day or two here more details. But I wanted to get the jump on it because, of course, there's a breaking story here. But $150,000 per year, or I'm sorry, $150 million per year. Have I been saying thousand the whole time? Million per year. That's a lot of fucking money still. That's a lot for AEW to work with. A lot for them to sign their talent to big, over extraordinary contracts that nobody else in wrestling is making. And they're going to need it. They're going to need it to make the plays for the big stars, because that seems to be Tony's entire growth plan, is who is the next biggest star that we can bring in. Rampage done by all accounts, unless they put it somewhere else, or unless that ends up getting a TV deal somewhere else. We have heard the much speculated Fox deal. Tony Khan did get back the exclusivity rights to AEW. When the last deal was signed, Warner Brothers Discovery had the option, like Tony couldn't license out shows to any other company, any other network or anything. Warner Brothers Discovery had exclusivity on AEW, where they were the exclusive home of AEW. No longer the case, so there is that rumored third show that will be going out. God knows we need more AEW TV. That's what we need. We need more AEW TV. Let's go. More hours, many more hours. That's what we need. No word on Ring of Honor. This is not a good streaming deal for them either. Sean Ross Sapp had speculated in his breakdown of this that maybe that'll come later. But I don't know. That would have been a good thing to slip into this deal here. And I don't know why Warner Brothers Discovery wouldn't want to do it. I mean, honestly, what's it? I mean, it can't take up that much. I mean, it's bandwidth, but they can afford it. They got the servers and shit for it. So I don't know why that's such a big deal. Maybe they just don't care to spend money on back catalog stuff. But I would think, look, AEW, even though they don't have the audience that WWE does, wrestling traditionally has a very loyal audience. And it's not going to hurt Max's viewership or subscribers to have AEW content, like the entire back catalog, all the old pay-per-views, all the old shows, Ring of Honor. It's not going to hurt them to have that there. It's only an asset. It's only more content to add to the streaming service. I'm sure that would come with a pretty hefty paycheck, though, and maybe they're just not willing to go that extra mile quite yet for AEW. The pay-per-view thing, I know a lot of people were looking for pay-per-view to be on Max, and though they are going to have that discounted pay-per-view stream on Max, you're still going to have to pay for it. People were hoping for like a Peacock deal that WWE has, but apparently this was an AEW call, as they are not quite ready to part with the pay-per-view money that's coming in. You know, similar to Dana White, who has been asked about, you know, are you going to make a streaming deal for UFC like WWE did with Peacock? And he's like, nah, because there's still a lot of fucking money to be made in pay-per-view, which is true. So they're going to hang on to that for a little bit, but there will be a discounted rate. So you don't need to spend the $50 necessarily. It doesn't say what the discounted rate could be. Maybe it's $40, maybe it's 30, maybe it's $20. Who knows? It also does not indicate if those are going to be live or like next day or anything. I would assume it's going to be live at the same time. The simulcast of streaming and being on TV, you know, AEW is kind of hurting in the ratings as it is right now. The last week, their big Grand Slam event with Nigel and Bryan Danielson only drew 700,000 on average, like on the dot even. So at that point, like, you know, a lot of those people are going to start streaming the show, and we could see those numbers decline even further. You could say that the people that watch it on TV will continue to watch it on TV because they have cable. I'm sure AEW is not the sole and only reason that they subscribe to cable. I'm sure, you know, WWE probably too, and sports ball fans. Sports ball fans love their cable TV, their linear cable, because sports are live, pal, and people need to see it live as it happens. So it'll be interesting to see if them streaming on Max simultaneously. So it's going to be live. It's not going to be next day like WWE does with Hulu or did with Hulu or anything like that. You'll be able to just log right into your Max account if you have it, or if you're going to get it, and watch AEW as it happens on live TV. It'll be interesting to see if that takes away from the live TV viewership, but it could also help AEW quite a bit as well, because there's a lot of people that just don't do the whole cable gimmick I don't have live TV. I do not watch AEW live as it happens. It's got to be at least a next day kind of thing because I don't have cable. This will change that. This will put it right on streaming so all the cord cutters can watch this. And I think it's not a bad way to go as long as it doesn't hurt the overall cable ratings. If the cable ratings take a nosedive, then maybe that wasn't such a good move, unless like the ads that they sell for it are also being sold on, are also part of the streaming, right? So like if Domino's Pizza advertises on AEW TV, their ads are being seen on streaming as well. At least that way the ad revenue is not going to go down for the declining ratings, because those ratings really just moved over to Max. They didn't disappear. But again, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out exactly. I believe that covers all the meat and potatoes of this here deal. It's a win for AEW. It's a kick in the balls of all the AEW haters. There's so many people out there online that were just like praying for AEW's downfall simply because they don't like the product. Oh, I don't like the Young Bucks, or I don't like Orange Cassidy, or Tony Khan's a nerd. So they want AEW to just die and go away forever. And for those people, did you watch WWE in the mid 2000s, 2010 to say 2000, whenever Triple H took over, right? 21, 22, something like that. Did you watch at that time? It was the most boring, horrible product you've ever seen ever. And the same thing happened back when WCW, it's basically since WCW closed. I say the mid 2000s, really since WCW went out of business. It was not much longer after that WWE just became stale, because competition makes everybody better. To just pray for AEW to go away because you don't personally like it is bad. It brings up the product of WWE. It keeps them on their toes. It keeps NXT on their toes, right? If NXT didn't have anybody to compete with, you think they'd be bringing in all these top guys like CM Punk and all that stuff to come hang out on the show? No, they wouldn't, because they wouldn't have a reason to, because you're going to watch anyway, because it's the only thing to watch. So it's important. And not only that, it's also important for the people, the talent. When they're negotiating for what they feel they're worth, WWE, being the only game in town as it was for so long, has the ability to say, fuck you. We're capping you at this amount. This is what you get. Take it or leave it. And they can leave it, but where are they going to go? TNA? And look, AEW is a step down from WWE too. You're not going to be seen by as many people. You're going to be on a inferior product. But the money is not inferior. Tony Khan is loaded, has more money than probably TKO has to throw around for WWE. So he can absolutely compete as far as contracts go. And as we've seen with Swerve Strickland, despite the criticism there, it's good. It raises the tides, because now when people go to negotiate with WWE to re-up their contract, they can say, hey, man, I'm getting this huge offer from AEW. Can you match it? Can you get me anywhere close to that? And that's going to force WWE's hand to offer more money, which is great. You want wrestlers to make more money. I don't see why you wouldn't. So all of those people are stupid. Just because you hate something doesn't mean it needs to die, right? You don't need to watch it, but it's good for the business. And this deal is good for the business. It's going to help AEW out. It's going to help the wrestlers out. And they're going to be set for probably at least 3 years, right? Before we need to start thinking about how this is going to, what their next deal is going to be, or where they're at then. And hopefully they can kind of turn that ship around and get themselves an even bigger deal next time around. But this was pretty predictable in my book. Like I said, I have a track record. You can go back and watch my old videos. I've said every single time, not only will AEW get a new TV deal, but they will get a significant increase as well. Because that's just simply the way of TV right now. Linear TV, cable TV, it's dying. It's dead. The only thing keeping it afloat is live sports. AEW is not quite a sport. WWE is not quite a sport, but it's sports like, right? It's still live. It's still anything can happen. It's still kind of must see on the spot. At least it can be at times. So it's really keeping them afloat. And because of that, they're offering up huge deals. Not only that, but Warner Brothers Discovery lost out on the NBA deal. So they have extra money to throw around, and they want to keep some sort of live sports-like element on their show for whatever, or on their programming, because people tune into it live. That's important for TV. So it's just the way of the industry. TV rights deals are great for live entertainment right now. It just is, even if they're only getting 700,000. I also talked about in the last video I did on this, 700,000 is not bad. It's bad. You're comparing it to WWE's ratings. Oh, WWE gets 2.5 million viewers. AEW only gets 700,000. What a joke. Haha. They're never going to get a new TV deal. You don't realize that AEW is almost always within the top 5, top 3, sometimes the number 1 spot on Wednesday nights for Dynamite. Not so much Saturday nights for Collision, but that was a Warner Brothers Discovery call. And I suspect that they knew full well that AEW wasn't going to draw shit on Saturday night, but they wanted just something consistent in that time slot. Otherwise, they would have never offered them that. I can't imagine that they know how TV works. They know people don't sit down and watch live TV at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday. That's weird, right? They just want something to fill that spot. But Dynamite holds its weight on Wednesday nights. It's consistently amongst the top, and it has that key demo. Everybody poo-poos the key demo, too. They think it's a made-up Dave Meltzer, Eric Bischoff term. It's not, folks. Educate yourself. I'm begging you. Watch somebody else besides Jim Cornette, or whoever the fuck you're getting your information from, because it's wrong. I pay heavy attention to all of media and these kind of things, like the bigger industry at large besides just the wrestling bubble. And this was something that you could see coming from a mile away, because that's just the way of the industry. So I think I'll leave it there. We've covered it to death, I do believe. But this, I imagine, will be an ongoing story as more details will start to come out as far as what the pay-per-view situation might end up looking like. Will we get streaming at some point in time? Like, not just AEW Dynamite on streaming and Collision, but also the back catalog and all the old pay-per-views. And we want that AEW network, right, with Ring of Honor and whatever else they can acquire. That's what I want to see, and that's what I think Tony Khan wanted, and I think in that sense, this was a little bit disappointing for AEW, and they didn't quite reach their $200 million per year. Now, if they are able to sign a deal with Fox for a third show, and including their pay-per-view revenue and everything else that they do, they should be able to get that $200 million per year out of that. But they wanted it out of Warner Brothers Discovery, and they wanted that streaming deal. It's kind of a half-assed streaming deal. It's dipping their toe into streaming, but it's at least a step in the right direction. So that's good too. But that's all I got for you. Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy, Seth Grimes. Let me know your thoughts down in those comments below. Are you one of those haters sipping on that haterade? AEW needs to die. What a joke. Their ratings suck. Orange Cassidy. Or are you happy for them? Is this a good thing for the wrestling business? Love to know where you're at on this. Catch you in the next video.
Thank you for checking out the video. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to rest in